What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer taking a look at the new Fire King support. So I'm going to go over the new cards, and then what I'll do after is I'll go over every other card in the archetype. I think it's good to look at these in context. I kind of know and remember what they do. Something about destroying, and then they come back. So they need to be destroyed by battle or card effects, and I think these new supports probably make it so you can destroy them yourself. Make that a little bit easier. I think one of the main boss monsters is a Raigeki. It destroys all monsters when it comes back from the graveyard, like every single turn, and that's one of the best resource loops of the deck. So we'll go ahead and take a look at it. This is Sacred King Avatar, whatever. None of these names really matter because they always get changed, right? You can only use, it's a level 8, which is great. Love level 8 monsters. If a monster you control whose original attribute is fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard or hand. There's a lot of stipulations here. I kind of read them, but I don't think that this is what the card text is going to say. I get the idea. If it's destroyed, you get to bring this card out, right? That's the whole point of the deck, basically. If this card is normal or special summon, you can destroy one fire beast, beast warrior, wing beast monster from your hand, deck, or face-up field. Also, this card gains attack equal to half the destroyed monster's attack until the end of the turn. I actually make this guy pretty beefy. It's a free level 8. It destroys from the deck, which is kind of insane. So there's a lot of really good things. In fact, I feel like you can throw in Tri-Brigade, right? Like if you destroy... I'm pretty sure destroying Fractal is this, Kit is the same thing as sending it to the graveyard. I'm not sure, but that does, by destroying it, you are sending it to the graveyard. So that's kind of an interesting interaction. I don't know if it'll ever come up, but... Okay, this is Fire King High Avatar Kirin. During either main phase, it's a level 8 as well. If this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can destroy one other fire monster in your hand or face-up field, and if you do, special summon this card. So great, all these are special summoning effects. They all obviously work like really well within the archetype, which is fantastic. If this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Fire King monster from your hand or graveyard, and then you can destroy one card on the field. Wow, so you can kind of destroy it and then replace it. And just like keep destroying, either destroying your own cards or destroying your opponent's card. I do kind of like the versatility. This is also a quick effect from the hand. This is definitely it's probably the best support that the deck's like ever had. And this one's pretty good too, and I think that these two work really well together. And that's obviously something that when they release new cards, they try to, work on the most. Like the new cards work together, and then everything else kind of fits in, I feel like. This is Fire King Sanctuary. When this card activation resolves, you can place one Fire King Island from your deck into the face-up field zone, which makes sense. I don't think it has an activation effect. Once per turn, if this card in your field zone would be destroyed, you can destroy one fire monster in your hand or face-up field instead. Great. Your opponent's definitely not going to be getting rid of that field spell at that point then. I guess, if it shuffles and there's all this other things, but traditionally, it's going to be really hard. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, XYZ summon one Fire XYZ using only Fire King monsters you control, which is great. I've read this card. It's 2 level 8s. It's generic, this is crazy. This is a generic. It's like double Zeus without the extra card. So if this card is XYZ summon, you can destroy all their cards on the field. Now, sometimes that's going to be a big difference, right? Sending versus destroying. But just either case, having a generic rank 8 that you can destroy all monsters on the field is really cool. So it can kind of, like I said, it kind of serves the purpose of Zeus in a sense. And I'm pretty sure you can rank up on top of rank 8s. I'm pretty sure to go into Zeus either way. I'm like 99% sure about that. So that is pretty awesome that exists. Also, it helps you too, right? Destroying your own monsters. Apparently you get to do it during your opponent's turn as well. It's all good. You can attach one material to the card, then target a spell and trap on this field. Destroy it. Hold the phone. It's each. If this card is destroyed, you can special summon Fire King monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials this card had. This is insane. So this is just really good support, and I think that this is kind of a sentiment generally shared by the community, in that old support doesn't need to be, like, legacy support like this doesn't necessarily need to be meta. It just needs to work within the archetype and kind of like just maximize what the idea of the deck can do, and I think these cards really do that well. This is like some of the best like legacy support I feel like I've read in a really long time. Also, just like the generic rank 8 is like kind of nuts, to be honest with you. Okay, This is Fire King High Avatar, whatever. During the next standby phase, after this card was destroyed and sent to the graveyard, special summon this card, and when you do, destroy other monsters on the field. Yeah, this was that monster I was talking about at the beginning of the video. I just remember this for some reason. Very cool, right? So just a Raigeki. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Fire King monster, which is obviously much better. So your opponent really just has to play around and just like have a lot of non-destruction removal. Like most decks, I think, have at least one, but wow, like every single card in your deck essentially now, like in Fire King, has some sort of effect. So you kind of have to dance around and play around all these like crazy effects, and I think that's really, really cool. And obviously the archetype looks really nice too. Well, when a monster effect is activated while this card is in the field, you can negate the activation if you do destroy one other fire monster from your hand or field. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target a fire, beast warrior, or winged beast monster in your graveyard, special summon it. It has its effects negated, also destroy it during the end phase, which is great because you just destroy it. It doesn't really matter that it doesn't have its effects, so that's obviously very cool. This is really, really good. Just like a monster negation. It is very monster effect focused, as you can kind of see like monster and monster effects. So it's really cool that the XYZ kind of tackles the glaring problem of the deck in that it doesn't really have spell and trap removal like at all. If a face-up Fire King monster you control is destroyed by card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Very cool. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can destroy a card in your hand or that you can control. So they're really pushing into the whole archetype. Obviously, it's the whole idea that everything gets destroyed. These are level 4 extenders, which is, if you know me, you know this is kind of interesting for me. If a face-up Fire King monster you control is destroyed by card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is destroyed, you can send a fire monster from your deck to the graveyard. Not really sure if that's going to work. If a face-up Fire King monster you control is destroyed by card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. That's pretty cool. They all kind of have these little lower ones kind of all the same effects. So just really just extenders. I'm sure they'll be used, although level 3s can be kind of weird for sure. Doesn't really have like a coherent level. And that's kind of sucky. I wish it was like 8 and 4. I mean, I guess you can kind of just play it that way. I'm not sure. This is Onslaught. If your opponent controls a monster, you control no monsters. You can special summon a fire, beast, beast warrior, or winged beast monster from your deck. It's negated and destroyed. I don't know. I guess it's a pretty good going second option. I don't know, but it does feel kind of weak and probably just not something that you'll include, at least to me. Target a fire monster you control and one fire monster in your graveyard. Destroy that monster you control, and if you do, special summon the other one. Now this is like really, really, really good, especially now. You can do some really cool stuff with this. So this is obviously like just really amazing. And then this is the field spells, where it's kind of like all based around if this face-up card in the field zone is sent to the graveyard or banished, destroy all monsters you control. Okay, pretty good. It's really just, I guess the whole point of the archetype really also is like not to splash it in other archetypes. Like probably just a little too hard to dance around. Like you really need to be playing Fire King monsters. Unchained, perhaps. I don't know. Like maybe that's a thing, but those are dark monsters, so it's probably just impossible. During your main phase, you can destroy one monster in your hand you control, and if you do, add a Fire King monster from your deck to your hand. I mean, maybe. I don't know. This is generic destruction. If you control no monsters, you can special summon one Fire Winged Beast monster from your hand, which is cool because of level 8s, right? Like it just kind of makes it easier. So yeah, that is the Fire King archetype. Really, really interesting. Really excited to see this. I'm probably going to mess around and play with it at some point. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.